Welcome to the Holding Priority Podcast, the Magic the Gathering CEDH podcast. I'm Cardboard Cryptid.
And I'm the Gaming Ghost.
On today's episode, we'll discuss core skills in CEDH.
What to do, what it looks like, when do you mulligan, what do you mulligan for?
We did one that was a little bit more in depth on politics, which we will maybe briefly cover politics here, just so it's like kind of all inclusive. But if you're looking for a politics episode, that is in depth on our podcast station or on our YouTube if you want to check that out. Before we get into it, though, let's go into the shuffle up. All right, is it going to be delayed this time?
Yep.
All right, cool. There we go.
Yeah, we had to get the cards.
I thought plugging it directly in the laptop would help, but I think I don't have the app up. So I think that's kind of the problem, but I'll figure that out next episode. We'll do some testing. So we got a lot of love on our Spider-Man set. Thank you so much. We did have a couple of corrections from that episode. We are humans, and also when there's no gatherer for the cards yet, or the cards aren't even fully out, we get some stuff wrong, and we got some stuff wrong. This one is more just in general. So we said that you can discard Sink into Stupor to Mox Diamond. You cannot. You can put Sink into Stupor under Chrome Mox, and that's what I got confused with, because it does count as a blue card. So you can put it under Chrome Mox, and you can pitch it to Force of Will, but all the dual face cards are only exist in your deck and hand on the one side. Yeah. So it's not a sorcery and a land at the same time, so you can't pitch it to Mox Diamond.
That makes sense.
Yeah. That one, honestly, just brain fart. I think it was like a 2-hour episode that we were kind of, I'm not going to really say not wanting to do, but now that I've lived with the Spider-Man cards a little bit longer, I am more excited about them. The pre-release was really fun.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun with that.
Was it white, blue, green? I always forget what that color combination is.
I can't think of it now.
I was about to say Naya, but no, I was about to say Esper. That's not right. Bant, yeah. A lot of Bant decks in our pre-release.
Yeah, it was Bant heavy.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, also with these new sets, when they introduce a new mechanic, there's kind of a lag time with rulings. When I mean, clearly Wizards knows, but they kind of filter it slowly.
Well, so the set technically doesn't fully release, even though there's been pre-releases till the 26th, and that's when we'll see like gatherer stuff and other stuff like that. Like right now they're tournament legal because there was a pre-release, and this will be coming out after the 26th, but they will not be legal till the 26th, which seems kind of crazy if you're like listening to this on Monday, just being like, oh, they've only been like Magic legal for 2 days. It's like, yeah. The one thing that we got wrong on Green Goblin, which I think kind of doesn't really change our review of it too much, but might change if you're thinking about making the deck, was Mayhem. So this was brought to our attention in the Discord. Thank you so much. We went into the judge chat to just make sure about this, but whenever you cast something with a Mayhem ability, it does not stay marked with Mayhem, because whenever you return the spell to the stack, it's a zone change that will wipe all of the characteristics from it. So when we went in the judge chat and asked, it said, can you cast things for its Mayhem multiple times? It's like, no, once you cast it, it becomes a new object. You'd have to get it back into your hand and discard it a second time to be able to cast it a second time. So Green Goblin is more of a one-shot, like you add Nas, hit a Windfall or a wheel, and you either discard that to like Psychic Frog or something like that to get a one-shot wheel for 1 red or a Windfall for 1 blue, which you're probably not wanting to Windfall if you have 20 cards in hand.
That's true.
But then you hit that Windfall or whatever, discard everything to Psychic Frog and make a giant Psychic Frog. And then everything in the graveyard is marked with Mayhem. And then when you cast it and put it on the stack, stack loses and wipes all of that, and it falls back down. And then you can't cast it again for its Mayhem cost, which it does fall down to the graveyard. So if you have like an Underworld Breach, you can use it for Underworld Breach Escape Fuel, or cast again full cost for Underworld Breach. But you can't just sit there and loop Wheel of Fortune for red over and over and over and over.
Yeah, I think what the confusing part was is we were kind of treating it as a breach.
Yeah,
but the breach is static to where the graveyard, every card in the graveyard has that escape cost, and then you use it, and then as it goes back into it, reoccurs that.
Well, the other crazy thing is Magic put out an article for like the new set mechanics, and like at no point touched that. You know.
Yeah,
they were just like, yeah, this is what Mayhem is. This is the text on Mayhem. Cool. You know, I was just like, all right.
I think a lot of it was creature or permanent based. It just in my thoughts to it, to where I mean it's an okay mechanic. I just don't think it's no Underworld Breach, right?
Yeah, the thing I forgot was the stack is a zone change, because technically the stack is a zone, but cards don't exist there for very long. You know, like they can't sit there. So thank you guys for those corrections. We also have a couple comments to read on YouTube from Wizard Whimsy. Future video idea: I would love to see you brew a new deck to try it out in a tournament. There has been kind of a rise of semi-blue recently, which was something that happened in Japan. And I think a lot of people are just like, I'm tired of playing low CMC. I want to drop big creatures that cascade. So I've seen it a couple times in tournaments. I saw a Rogthras and I saw a Glarb that was semi-blue. Did they do anything in the tournament? No. But it does seem kind of cool. I'm not going to commit to this yet, but I did kind of draft up a Terra deck that has that same view, where you basically like discard big things, get 3 enchantments that animate dead, Necromancy and Dance of the Dead that you can get back with Terra if you mill them, and then pull them out of the graveyard, and just other things that are kind of semi-blue staples. I sent it to Ghost, and we've been kind of running through the Scryfall Goldfish. Maybe at some point I'll build it. I'm just so deep into Hashaton that's kind of fueled my drafting, like deck drafting itch. I pretty much swap out 2 to 3 cards a week after play testing. So
I mean, also I've done a lot of test hands with the Terra you sent me, and I mean I think it's really interesting. Like, I mean, if you get one of them big creatures out, of course it changes how the game's played.
Well, it only needs to do that a fourth of the time.
Yeah,
that's the thing. Like, it's pretty good. Maybe I'll build it eventually. The kind of the problem is we have a bunch of tournaments happening in October, and if I start building the deck, number one, I'd have to collect some funds to order some of those big creatures, because they're like, $12-15 a piece if I don't have which I do have most of them, I think, but it's spending a day hunting them down, ordering the cards, having the cards come in. And if I started today, I would not be able to test it in any of the October tournaments. So nor would I really want to, because the October tournaments have pretty good pricing. I don't mind, like, we have like a place where we do like Wednesday tournaments every night that's just like a little bit of store credit. But I'm really wanting to kind of cement some points with Hashaton. I did do this idea a long time ago. We did have the podcast around then, I believe, or we had just started, where I did Balin whenever Dockside was still legal, because Balin Naya Dockside seemed like it was pretty good. and we did 2 tournaments that we had to travel 3 or 4 hours for, and I went 0-5 on both. And it was
Oh,
just
no.
miserable. Like, I definitely should not have done that. I do like the video idea. It will be something that we do eventually. Maybe we'll just do like, I know that we did a Ether Drift Commander set like podcast where we did a whole bunch of Moxfield links and stuff like that. Maybe that would be something that we would do instead of taking it to a tournament, or just taking it to a Wednesday night tournament and just being like, well, I played 3 rounds and I lost all of them. GG. But yeah, maybe we just do an episode on semi-blue and kind of talk about it and why it does or maybe does not work in the US meta, because that's what I've kind of heard the buzz about. If you guys don't know what semi-blue is, it's decks that run big giant creatures or spells that are like uncounterable, and you are in blue, but you kind of use the blue for like just card draw, and you're not really there to police the table, which is what semi-blue comes from. It's just like, hey, I'm in blue, but just to let you guys know, I'm going to be the problem. I'm not going to help with the problem. Like, you might run a Force of Will and a Mind Break Trap, but you don't really care about countering non-creature spells because, I mean, you're not really playing spells that need to be defended against counter spells.
Kind of the Rog Thras feel.
I mean, Rog Thras was a little different because they were still, their win line was still through something that was a non-creature spell. So it'd be like you'd get a whole bunch of infinite mana and then you'd Finale Devastation to kill everybody. This is just like, I'm going to put out an Apex Predator and it's going to cascade 3 times, and I'm going to drop something that triples my mana with Nyx Bloom, or I draw a ton of cards with like a Merfolk, like a Simic Merfolk, or I just drop Gelta, I think is the giant T-Rex, and then everything in my hand is just out on the field, and maybe if I'm in red, I have a haste creature, and I just swing out. The idea is you're never trying to win through a non-creature spell, so you don't really care about counters.
Okay.
It's kind of big in Japan right now, but their system is a little bit different. I know we've talked about it, but just a refresher. The God of Commander tournaments are a different system. At least they used to be. I'm not sure. I think they still are, where basically you have an ELO ranking that everybody starts out with, let's say, 1,000 points. And every time you win a table, you vampire 10% of the points from each person. So like if everybody has 1,000 points and you win, you now have 1,300 points. And if you go to a table and someone defeats you, instead of getting 100 points from you, they'll get 130 points. So I mean, like, it's not a system where they really want to tie. I think they avoid ties as much as possible. So I think that's why semi-blue is kind of big over there. I don't really think it works over here, just as kind of a gut reaction, because if I see a lot of creatures and someone passes and there's 30 minutes on the clock, I can guarantee me or one of my opponents are going to sit there and go, well, I don't want this guy to get a turn, so let's politic for 20 or 30 minutes. Or make a bunch of game actions that are legal and I know aren't going to go anywhere, and then the time runs out and then they don't get a turn. I think that's what the problem with it is going to be here, but I mean, it's fun. I've gone against a couple of those decks. It's cool to see an Apex Predator. Just a reminder, Dranith stops Cascade, so because you cast it from exile. We had an interesting judge call where we kind of missed that right away, and the person had already cascaded once, just because I forgot what Cascade was. I haven't seen it in a while, and everyone was aware of the Dranith, so it wasn't really fully my fault, but we had to call the judge over and be like, hey, he's already cascaded once, like, what do we do? And the judge was like, oh my god, this is a mess. But I mean, we were able to roll it back. It was just kind of interesting. And then I think that is about it for our new YouTube comments. We did kind of derail a little bit, but yeah, it
happens.
Things going on in the world are important. And we're only at 15 minutes, so we didn't derail too much. Just a reminder that we do have a link tree. The link tree has all of our stuff. If you want to help us out, let's say you see a single that you're like, oh man, I really want it. Please use our link tree link. It doesn't seem like it would make a huge difference, but it does make a huge difference. If you're just like, hey, I'm going to buy a $10 card, click our link tree. The link tree will take you to TCG Player. If you hit TCG Player and you're like, actually, I don't want to buy it today, that still helps. That's super. Us showing that we're bringing people to TCG Player through that link helps. And then if you guys do buy something, it does help out the channel a little bit more. And it's no cost to you. It's just an extra click. So that helps a lot. If you are on our YouTube, please leave a comment. I don't care if it's something silly. I don't care if you just pick a random word. It still helps. I don't care if you're mean. In fact, please be mean. It's funnier.
I mean, we do a lot of, we go through a lot of stuff, and even the corrections. I mean, we'll research a little bit and be like, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, by no means are we magic judges. Even if we were base level magic judges, sometimes the set isn't out yet and no one really knows what's going on. But yeah, if you guys could check out our social media, subscribe. We do have a Discord. We had our first game night in the Discord. We might move it around a little bit. It does seem like Tuesdays might not be the best day to do it in the evening. We'll see. But we did have a game night. I think the idea right now is every 2 weeks. If that seems like a lot, we might just bring it to like the first podcast of the month we'll do on that day. That way you guys have like more advanced notice.
I mean, we did get a lot of positive feedback from it, though. I had a lot of fun.
I think we played for like 4 hours, and the moment we stopped playing, someone was just like, "Oh, I just got home. Like I wanted to play." But it was a lot of fun. I got to see Hashton with a different deck list, and we played quite a few games. I was able to do some pretty flashy things with Hashton. I did kind of blow myself out in our last game where I had a Platinum Angel, and I didn't think about it, but I should have just let Pact resolve and not sacked the Platinum Angel and just tried again later, because I had cast a Pact and I was like, oh man, I need to sack the Platinum Angel to go get a counter spell so I don't lose. But like Platinum Angel specifically says you don't lose the game. So I could have cast the Pact and then just been like, okay, I could fight this a little bit more, but I don't think I am. Let me just recover. And then my turn would come around and everybody would have thought that I need to cast the Pact or something like that. And I would just be like, okay, I'm not going to pay the Pact. Cool. I also don't lose the game because I have Platinum Angel. All right, let me continue. Which I'd never thought about. I did take Platinum Angel out just because as cool as it is, it's more of a pet card. If I could play like Final Fortune, I might keep it in just so I could get like an extra turn and then not worry about if I won on that turn or not. But otherwise is kind of some testing went on. I changed my deck quite a bit after that night, but we had a lot of fun. Body of Water joined us, and then I'm gonna pronounce this wrong. Chinook also joined us, and we played like 3 or 4 games, so it was a good night.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Like I said, I think that you were trying to be really flashy.
I was, yeah.
And I was just kind of waiting for my moment to try to win, which kind of what Tara does. But
yeah,
it was a good time.
Yeah, I was making sure that I was keeping hands that did really cool stuff instead of just like, okay, toss a combo on turn 3. Nobody has anything great, you know. Which, I mean, I think one of the games I won, I did do that where I was just like, I'm so out of it. I'm just going to try Thassa combo. And if it goes through, great. If it doesn't go through, also great.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, has happened in tournaments sometimes where, like, I'll see somebody starting to lock down the game with, like, a Dranth and stuff like that. And I just really didn't get any card value. And I'm like, I have Thassa combo. I have no counter to back it up. I don't see me winning this game. I'm just going to try it. And then like everybody's just like, yeah, I don't have anything. And I'm like, really? So I've got 5 points. They're like, yeah, none of us had counter spells. And I'm just like, oh, great. Thank you. Like, it's like, I did not deserve this one, but I got it. All right. Yep. And then just a reminder with the podcast, if you are listening regularly, if you says to auto download, that really helps. You don't have to remember when we release stuff. You just automatically download it. When you wake up that morning and you go on your drive, you'll see a little notification, or you just see that it's downloaded, and you can listen to us rabble about cards without having to actually like download. And it helps the podcast because when we put an episode out, a lot of people immediately download it, and then the podcast platforms are like, oh, people are excited to see these guys. Let's push them out to more people, which really helps. I think we're at like almost 8,000 downloads now and 103 subscribers. So on YouTube, which we're definitely podcast first. One day, maybe we'll have a video podcast, but again, you guys do not want to see us. We're Magic players. We're sweaty. We're not very handsome.
I think I look pretty.
I mean, our hands look really good. Like you can see our hands on spell table. My cat made an appearance too. Whenever I died, I cleaned all my cards off, and she thought that it was snuggle time if the cards were gone. So she just laid down, and I got to let her do a little dance whenever I died on my upkeep.
She acted like she was dying.
She's actually in a box right now listening to us make the podcast.
She has it on auto download.
Yeah, she does. She subscribes to YouTube. She leaves a comment. If you go down in the comment sections and you just see a meow, that's her. Her name is Princess Boba Tea at YouTube. I was about to start reading our card ratings. I was like, wait, this isn't a card review. Cool. So let's get into the core skills. One of the things that we're going to try to do with this episode is organize it a little bit. We were going to do it by seeding, and I think seeding is a little more confusing. So we're going to do it by topic, but we're going to
use the seedings
because your decisions are going to be different in each seat that you're in. We're going to do seat 1, seat 2 and 3, which 2 and 3 are different, but for the most part, they're about the same. And then seat 4. And then we will start out with like just general feedback on the subject. If it's actually like, hey, everybody can learn this or everybody should go by this. But our first subject is going to be mulligans. And Ghost, you win more than me, so you can start out with general feedback for mulligans.
So your mulligan, to me, mulligans are based really on what seat you're in and your pod. Clearly, you want to have more removal if you're going for, or if you're playing against something like a VV or something like that, where the commander is big for that player. However, really, you don't want to keep any hands that don't go anywhere by turn 2. And if it is a turn 2 play, I feel like it has to be substantial. Like I feel like you have to, for instance, get a good draw engine out, like Ristic, One Ring, Smothering Tithe would be great. You know, that's mainly for your seat 1, though. I think your seat 1, you want to.
Well, let's not talk about like specific seats in the general section.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah,
but like it has to go somewhere. You have to see a win, or you have to see a way to gain substantial value based on where you're at.
Yeah. My biggest thing is do not keep one land hands. Like, unless you can look at your hand and go, okay, I have a land, I have a lotus petal, and I have, a spirit guide, because I'm in, black, red, blue, and I have Thassa, demonic, and a free counter spell or force a will that I can pitch something to. Like, if you look at your hand and you're just like, I can win protected on turn 2, with this one land hand, you might want to keep it. Otherwise, like, don't, you know? And also, like, if you're going to try to win protected on turn 2, make sure that you kind of look around the table and understand, like, okay, everybody's trying to go fast. No one probably has a counter for this. And then even so, like, if you're, you know, a low seat, maybe still don't keep it, because everybody will have a turn 2 before you. Really, you want to look at your hand and go, kind of like Ghost said, like, this hand goes somewhere. Like, I can look at this hand and, you know, I'm probably going to use Thasset Oracle as an example, just because the easiest way to kind of show like a combo. But if you look at your hand and you're like, okay, I have a black, a lotus petal, a black source, a lotus petal, a fish, and an imperial seal. What I'm going to do, and then, like, you know, enough to keep me going after that, I'm going to drop the fish with the lotus petal. While the fish is there and I can get value off of it, I'm just going to try to imp seal. And if people try to counter me, cool, I'll draw cards. You know, that's a good turn 1. Or if you just have combo in hand and you're just like, okay, I have combo in hand, like, this is very clearly going somewhere. I have enough lands to get there. I can get, you know, a counter spell at some point, I know for sure. That's why I'm going to keep. You shouldn't really look at a hand and go, I have 4 lands, I have a Ranger Captain, and I have a Mental Misstep, and, you know, something else. Like, I'll be able to stop somebody on turn 3, and I have a land to drop every turn. Like, it's not a good tournament hand. Like,
no, because you don't get immediate value. You want value turn 1, turn 2.
you might not get a turn 3 or a turn 4. Those are not guaranteed. So
no. And whereas, I mean, I would even argue, if your turn 2 is something like smothering and you don't have any way to draw more, there's a good chance that's not. I've mulliganed those hands out too.
Yeah.
Just because, like,
it's like I've got a lot of mana, nothing to do with it though.
Yeah, I mean, Terra's a little different because I try to keep it, but I mean, I think those are trap hands for me because I know how the deck runs whenever I do it. It's kind of like trying to demonic for something. It just tries to mess me over.
Yeah, and like Esper is kind of weird because, like, I usually want a farm source of some type if I'm not just able to blow out, like, pretty early. Like, I'll look at a hand and go, okay, like, you know, this isn't a great hand, but, like, I'm an early seat and I have a Mystic Remora, and I can drop, like, a Lion's Eye. So, like, I can draw a bunch of cards. Let's say I draw into a Consecrated Sphinx while people are going around the table. I know that I can drop Hashaton, crack the Lion's Eye, get a Consecrated Sphinx, turn 2. Like, that's nuts. You know, like, not pay for the fish and drop it. Kind of like knowing the potential of your deck, and, like, you need to look at hands and really go, like, I'm looking at this hand, I know exactly what I'm going to play. Or, you know, I don't look at a hand, because I've done this, and I usually do this up until recently, where on the first round, I'll always just mulligan, and I'll do my 7 and be like, this 7 isn't excellent. You know, I'll try the free one, and then I'll get the free one, and I'm like, this is good enough. I don't want to go down to 6, which is, like, wrong. You know, like, you want to have a expertly crafted hand. Everybody is going to, in a tournament, have a hand. Hopefully everybody is going to have a hand that's, like, crazy value so quick that you'll just feel like you're blown out, and you're like, I'm just on 3 lands, you know, on my 3rd turn. And, you know, I tried to do a Necropotence, but everybody had so many counter spells, it just didn't go through. Or, you know, like, you're gonna get so far behind if you just keep good enough hands that, I mean, especially if you're in blue, you can go down pretty low. and still like make that up through the farm. And then I think just the other thing, and I think Ghost kind of touched on this, is know what you're going against. So like, let's say you're looking at a VV and VV's in seat 1 and you're like, oh, I have a Dranith. It's like, well, if you don't have that second mana source, they're going to get VV on turn 2 and the Dranith won't do anything. So like, maybe don't keep that. Maybe keep a Mental Misstep instead, or maybe land pass and it's a sack land. And if they get VV out, great. You can swords it. If they don't get VV out, then you have a sack land that you can go get a surveil land and kind of top deck a little bit. You want to have a plan. Like if there's somebody that is in your pod that you know that you have to stop, like, yeah, try to stop them, but also keep in mind that like your stop should be a swords or a mental misstep or something that's not going to put you out of the game, because like, yeah, you could be the hero and stop them, and then you're just like,
somebody else wins.
Okay, well, I just kept a 2-land hand with a bunch of counter spells, and I'm not going anywhere, and I'm not farming on top of it. So, yeah, I stopped VV, but now Kefka is gonna shred my hand, and I'm done. Like,
yeah, I think that's kind of important to, kind of know what other decks try to do.
Mm-hmm. I also like when they try to win.
Yeah, I've seen in this type of meta now, it's whoever puts win on the stack first usually ends up losing, depending on the way they do it. Now, if you have a silence or something like that, clearly you win without much fight. However, if we're in the mid game and I'm seat 4 and seat 2 tries to win, usually what happens is seat 3 blows out spells. Then seat 2 can't win. Seat 3 tries to win, or they don't, and then seat 4 wins. It's kind of it's first on usually loses, second or third wins. It just depends on the stack itself.
The person blowing out should be smarter. Like if they would listen to our politics
That's true.
thing, you would put your combo on the stack, and if somebody has a counter spell, I would be like, I have a counter spell. Do you have a second one? And if they go, yeah, and I go, will you show it to me? And if they show it to me, I'm just like, I'm not gonna fight this. Yeah. You counter Tainted Pact. Like I'm not gonna blow the whole table out to just not do anything. How about we both keep up a counter for C4?
That's true. You would be surprised though. A lot of those politics don't happen.
Yeah.
And I've been in that position to where it's like, would somebody help here? And it usually ends up a draw where it's like, well, I'm not countering it anymore.
Yeah.
Like we're done. So, I mean, you're going back to mulligans though. You definitely want early value, or a protected win is a good way to put it. It's a strange play depending on seeding.
Yeah. And I think we're kind of done with the general. So like, let's go into seat 1 mulligans, and you can start there because I play Esper. Seat 1 doesn't matter. Like,
so for me in seat 1, I would argue that even a 1-land hand and a Remora is a trap hand, because you'll psych yourself out to say, well, I'll draw a card. That's not always the case. So I would rather have 2-land hand and an Esper than a 1-land hand and a Remora. It depends on obviously your deck list a little bit, but I know for me that it's safer for me to have an Esper, because most people can't pay the one anyway, seat one. And then if they do slow down, it's not a bad thing because you're still ahead. But I see that. And then if you're going to do a turn, let's say a turn 2 play. If you go into a turn 2 play, a turn 2 Ristic is still a solid play. I would probably keep that hand too.
Yeah. There's been a lot of times where I'm seat 1 and I have 2 lands and a Ristic, or 2 lands and an Imperial Seal. Like, normally if I'm keeping in seat 1, I have a 1-cost tutor, or I have something that's crazy on turn 2 that I can pretty much drop it uncontested. Because you know that for the most part, everybody's just going to dump value on turn 1. So I'll look at my hand and be like, all right, well, I have a blue source, a blue-black source, and I have an Ancient Tomb. So what I can do is I can Imp Seal for a Ristic. No one will know it's a Ristic. And then I play the Ancient Tomb, and then I drop a Ristic turn 2, and, you know, if somebody Force of Wills it, great. You know, like, don't want them to, but, I mean, if that's what they have to burn their Force of Will on, like, that's not terrible. Or same thing where it's like, I have a white-blue, and I'm going to, on the opponent's seat 4's end step, go get my Ristic Study, drop my Ancient Tomb, and get a Ristic Study on the board really early. Like, and the rest of my hand is like, oh, okay. Like, as long as I have 2 lands and I can drop a Ristic Study turn 2, I'll probably keep that. Even if I have to go fetch it from my library, because there's surprisingly a lot of 1-drop tutors that whenever I start in seat 1 or I have a like 1-cost tutor, I've always just been like, oh man, like, this is probably going to get countered, and if it doesn't get countered, I don't really know what I'm going to go get. You know, like, it's like, I guess I could go get like Thassa or Tainted Pact, but there's not much point for me to build my combo if I don't have another piece of it and I don't have a counter spell, because really a Thassa is a 3-part combo. Like, you need Thassa, you need the Tainted Pact or Demonic, and then you need a Silence or a counter spell to back it up. Like, if you just cold drop Thassa combo, you're just gonna blow yourself out and not win. So seat 1, I either want to look at my hand and see like, hey, I can attempt on turn 2, everybody else is turn 1, and if the likelihood of them having enough free counters to stop it and protection is just not real. Like, that, I'm willing to take that risk. It's a educated gamble. Or I'll look at it and go, oh, I could sneak in a Food Chain on seat 1, turn 2, or I can sneak in a Ristic Study, seat 1, turn 2, and I'll be so far ahead, like, it doesn't really matter that I don't have stuff. One of the things I've been doing on Hashton pretty regularly is turn 2 Consecrate Sphinx, which is kind of crazy, but it's been pretty fun to just be like, yeah, you know, I'm gonna put my land out, drop an Underworld Cookbook. You know, I'll just say go, and then on seat 4's end step, I'll just go like, oh, you know, at instant speed, I'll drop a Consecrate Sphinx. Cool, my turn. I got a food token. I'll play my my land for turn. Animate Dead. Consecrate Sphinx turn 2, pass. Draw 7 cards. Same thing if I can drop Hashaton and an LED and then get out like a Doc Ock or something silly like that. Like, you want to look at your deck and go like, this is the best turn 2 that I can get. I need to know what those mulligans look like, especially in seat 1, because seat 1 is kind of like, mostly I'm going to get this uncontested. I mean, what are you going to do if I drop a LED and a land turn 1 and then drop Hashaton turn 2? Like, are you going to Force of Will Hashaton? It's pretty much all you can do.
Yeah, no.
Force of Will, or keep up a mana to consign to memory the trigger, which, I mean, if you do that, you're losing. Like, I'm losing because I dropped my hand, and you're losing because you stifled. You didn't build and you stifled. You know?
Yeah, I think that when you're looking at your hand, I would do a lot of test hands initially, like shuffle your deck, pile shuffle, or whatever you want to do, and check your check your 7. If it doesn't work, mulligan, and just continue to look and see, because there will be a pattern. You'll
Yeah.
see it eventually. And I mean, is there going to be those times where it's like, well, I didn't have anything until I mulliganed to 3? It happens.
Yeah, but then you probably had like a fish and you would have drawn 3 because you were seat 1. You know, like,
Yeah, and I mean, knowing when to do those aggressive mulligans is a thing. I would save value for sure. Seat 1 is what you want.
yeah. I mean, as someone that didn't play blue for a long time, it's weird because like there's two different thoughts on this. Because like now that I play blue, I can go down pretty deep. But whenever I was playing like a Tali, I would be like, okay, this isn't a turn 2 a Tali. I need to mulligan. And I'd go down to 3, and I'm just like, or I'd go down to 4, and 5 or 4, and I would just be like, this isn't a turn 2 a Tali, but like, I don't draw in this deck. Like, if I go down too far, I'm just out of the game. You know, like there's no way for me to recover. Like, at least in blue, you can be like, if I hit a Rhystic Study, like if I hit Ancient Tomb, Lotus Petal, Rhystic Study, I can turn 1 Rhystic Study, you know? Or like even nuttier. Let's say I'm an early seat and I have a Black Source, a Dark Ritual, and an Op Agent. Like, maybe I just keep that. You know?
I think those hands are unsung.
Yeah.
Like, if you can, and I know that this isn't casual friendly, but if you op agent a fetch land,
Yeah.
you have put somebody out of the game for a good minute, especially turn 1, 2.
Well, also a lot of people are using. I mulligan for fetch lands early because I'm like, I want to get these out of my hand because I don't want to deal with an op agent later in the game. And also, I really like my surveil lands in a graveyard deck. So I'll play my fetch land, and then I'm going to sit and wait and decide, like, do I need to play anything on my turn? Probably not. I'd just rather keep it up if I need to, like, swan song something. And then worst case, I go get a surveil land, I drop something. Maybe it's a Jingataxis. And then I get to, like, adjust my top deck, and then my turn 2 is going to be like really good. But yeah, that's for seat 1. What's your mindset on seat like 2 or 3?
2 or 3 is still almost in that value percent. Like, you still kind of want that value. However, more mana is usually what I go for that one. As far as seat 1 is more value as far as card draw or something like that. Seat 2, you can get away with more mana. So like you have a couple lands, Mox Diamond, Chromox. That's like decent, and then some kind of a counter spell. Because if you hit the turn 2 play for the turn 1 or the seat 1, sometimes that puts them out of the game for a minute. And if you do that, then your chances of winning are a little higher. You don't necessarily have to worry about seat 4 right away.
Yeah. And one thing that I think is just a general rule for me too is I am less likely to keep a Dranith that's going to be dropped on turn 2 every seat we go down. You know?
That's true, yeah.
So like if seat 1's like an Atali, I'll probably do a seat 2 or turn 2 Dranith. Seat 2 or 3, I need, especially seat 4. If my play is dropping a Dranith, I need to drop it
that
turn 1.
Yeah. That turn you need. I would also argue fish looks worse the seats you go down.
Yeah.
So seat 3 fish isn't as good as seat 2 fish.
Yeah.
Seat 2 fish is clearly not as good as seat 1 fish.
Yeah.
So with that, because you can bank on seat 4 just having to play.
Fish has been kind of weird too, because like there's been times where I've been seat 1 and I could fish, and I'll just look at the board and be like, all right, this is Yoshi Thras. Not getting anything out of them. This is Sisei. Not getting anything out of them. this is seat 4. It's Clarb. Not getting anything out of them. They're all going to be able to drop probably a dork and then just make me pay for the fish, you know? So in that case, I'll usually be like, I think I'll just go get an Esper Sentinel. Like, Esper Sentinel probably will get me the same amount of draw in this pod, and I don't have to put myself back a mana over and over and over. You know, like
I'm going to take this time to kind of touch on something that should be known, but sometimes in the heat of the moment isn't known as well. If you're going to use a 1-drop tutor, remember that you don't draw anything else.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to. I know for me, there's times where I'll look at it in the initial hand, I'm thinking, okay, well, I'll draw, but I don't.
Yeah.
Because I'm trading a card for a card in deck.
Yeah.
So you want to at least have a couple of mana there.
I think we have all done white land, no other land, tutor for a Soul Ring, and then go, all right, turn 2, tap my 1 land for a Soul Ring, poop, pass. I think everybody has done that at some point in their career in CDH. So
I would say those are trap hands, and just to recognize that is important.
Yeah.
But I mean that's any any 1-drop tutor, your vamp, your mystic, your worldly, your etc. Imp seal. Now your D tutor, a little different.
Yeah. I would also say, just rule of thumb, if you have not won a tournament, don't ever keep a one drop, like 1 land hand. Like, unless you are just a tournament grinder and you really understand what you're doing keeping a 1 land hand, don't ever keep a 1 land hand. Just don't do it.
I would say if you have 3 mana, solid mana, not an amber, because if you put a Mox Amber out, that mana may not be usable.
Yeah. I mean, like, if you have seat 1 land, Soul Ring, Arcane Signet, cool. But also keep in mind, if your Soul Ring gets Metal Misstepped, you don't do anything on turn 2. You know?
I would, yeah, but I would argue that that's worth trying.
Yeah.
I would probably try that. I do play a lot of tournaments, so.
I mean, if you have a 4-drop to drop on turn 2, like if you can do that, and then on your next turn, you're like, cool, I can drop a 1 ring. Yes, keep that. You know, but if you're just gonna get 4 mana and then go like, I guess I'll play Sisay, pass. You know?
No.
Even that's not great.
No, it's definitely looking at the hands and really just running through a bunch of mulligans. You need to, I would say, if you're going to a tournament, go through Moxfield or whatever you want, even if it's hard cards, check it out. But those are going to give you kind of the recipe of what to do.
Like, look at your hands and then like goldfish them and go, okay, like this got me nowhere, so it would have gotten me less than nowhere in a tournament with the amount of interaction. Like, it's good to know. I think seat 2 or 3 are just kind of general tips, but I think seat 4 is really where mulligans come in the best. And then the reason that we're breaking this down by seed order, and I don't know if there's been new data, just I know things have changed quite a bit since Final Fantasy, but seed order win rate is widely different. I think seat 1 is like 25% win rate. Seat 2 and 3 is around 19, and seat 4 is like 14% win rate. And then you have a 19% win rate in each seat to tie or something like that. I would need like, I think that's about the right amount of data. But it's crazy how behind you are in seat 4. So when you're seat 4, you basically have 2 options that you should keep in mind when you're mulliganing is, I'm so far behind, I need to poop out a win so quick no one can stop me and I can steal 5 points. Or I'm in seat 4, I have a higher chance to tie, maybe I should just try to stop people from winning. Like maybe I should just lock down the game. And if your deck can't lock down the game, like if you're not in white or blue, or you just don't run things that slow people down, when you get in seat 4, you need to go, okay, I'm either going to try to pact a win and argue a tie, or I need to just get a land, Mox Diamond, second land, and just try to poop out a Thassa combo really quickly.
So I kind of took a second to Google it. Seat 1 per Google is 30 to 35%. Seat 2 is 22 to 24. Seat 3 is 22 to 24. And then seat 4 is 18 to 20. So it's substantially lower based on your seating. And this is Google, I guess it's the AI overview.
Yeah, that sucks.
I mean, it's pretty close though.
Yeah. Let's see. Because I usually get my stuff from Datadog. I don't think that he has done anything by seat recently.
I would,
but I mean, you're way higher win percentage in seat 1 than seat 4. It's a good 15-ish, 10%.
I believe that 2 and 3 went up a little bit and seat 4 dropped a little bit further over the last year. But the big thing for me in seat 4, like you said, is to try to get a bargaining chip. And what I mean by that is a solid counter or a silence. Silence could do it. If you know for sure, like let's say if you hold a silence and you try to bargain with seat 1 for them to not try to win, and you be like, well, I can silence you unless you have other counters, we're going to pass to seat 2 and they just win. Which, is kind of a position, you want to have a position of leverage in seat 4. And you can get those God hands to where you drop uber value turn 1, but those are rare. And you're also looking at people that have already set things up. You definitely don't want to get into the trap of playing bunches of spells into like a Ristic or something like that, or a Mystic, because then you're pushing that person so far ahead that you're gonna for sure not win.
Yeah, I just found an actual source. This is a year ago. I went through Datadog's stuff since July, and it doesn't look like he's refreshed it. But a year ago, seat 1 had a 25% win rate. Seat 2, 21%, 19% draw. Seat 3, 19%, and then seat 4, 16%.
I mean, still there. It's still
yeah. I mean, 35% is like massive difference. Like I don't know where the Google's getting that.
I do think as the game progressed, most players do know about the seeding win rates, and it's easier for 2, 3, and 4 to look at certain decks and politic a way into a win or into the game lasting long enough.
Yeah.
Opposed to everybody just throwing cards on the table and hoping to win.
Yeah.
I think we're past that part in a lot of CEDH.
And I think this kind of naturally goes into play style. So like, how does seat 1 play seat 2 and 3, seat 4? How does, in your mind, how should seat 1 play?
The value. You need to pull away from the pact as fast as you can. Be that fish into massive card draw, or lots of mana, you could do it that way too. Say you have, say you're playing Timnacrom. They can get away with a lot of mana to get into turn 1 Timna
Yeah.
and to swing in to get draw in.
Yeah.
Which devastates them if you path or swords their Timna.
Yeah.
Because then their method of trying to win is kind of stunted. But it's really just pushing away from the general flow of Magic. So your turn ones usually look something like some kind of an engine. Next player is some kind of an engine or some kind of mana increase. And then, mana increase, engine, seat 3, and then...
Well, let's sit to like seat 1.
Well, I'm talking your seat 1.
Yeah.
The mindset of it is if you can get an early turn 1, Remora, Ristic, or Smothering.
Yeah.
Then you've pushed yourself so far ahead away from the others that you're in a good spot.
Yeah.
But I was saying like seat 4 is pray in what you have, and they usually play into your draws.
Yeah.
So
yeah, seat 4 isn't going to care if they feed fish for the most part.
Yeah.
And like no one's going to look at seat 4 and be like, you drew him a card, like what are you doing? And if they do, like shame on them, because seat 4 I'm always just like, I kept this hand, I have a goal with this hand. If they have a fish, yeah, I'm not going to draw them 3 cards, but I might draw them 1, and I would consider 2,
I would, yeah. But I mean, knowing in seat 1 that is kind of how it goes.
Yeah.
Helps you make your decisions based on that.
Yeah.
And your 2 3s, like your turn 2 and 3s, should be pushing towards a win or even more value and push or a stop.
You either want to run away with the game, seat 1, or just you want to run away with the game value-wise, or just be able to put that early win in. Like, it's kind of weird. I probably should have broken this up into blue and non-blue, because like when I used to play Atali, seat 1 was I'm getting Atali out on turn 2, and if I'm not getting Atali out on turn 2, I'm getting food chain out.
Yeah.
Like it was, I don't have any draw engines. I don't care what happens. I'm gonna try to win on turn 2, as deep as I need to go. Rocco was a little bit different. Rocco was a little bit more stacksy, even though I wasn't in blue. So Rocco was like, okay, like I need to get to 7 mana. Can I get to 7 mana by turn 2? No. Can I still set myself up quite a bit and drop an Esper Sentinel? Or like, can I seat 1 Deafening Silence? Like, seat 1 Deafening Silence was just kind of, okay, I won the game. Yeah, like, especially if I could seat 1, play my rocks out, and then at the end drop a Deafening Silence, so I could be like, okay, well, I was seat 1, I got my rocks, and now you guys get to choose 1 rock to get.
Yeah, it's really the value of card draw.
Yeah,
I would say is above the value of mana rocks.
Yeah,
and
I will say most people listening to this podcast, I'd say about 75% of people listening to this podcast probably are playing blue somewhat. So like the blue side of value is going to be a little bit more relevant, but like if you're playing like Atali or Rocco or Chatterfang or something like that, you're not really going to care about value, and your value is, can I win turn 2? like what do I need to get for this commander to win? Oh damn, they played a Dranith. Well, I'm done. Like someone got a turn 1 Dranith. Boo.
It's a weird scenario too, because like turn 1 mana rock or free mana rock into a Ledger Shredder might be a worthwhile hand, because turn 2 and 3 may put those in, and turn or seat 4 may feed into it as well. Whereas, like, I mean, God Hand is probably seat 1, or turn 1, Ristic, or One Ring, because those just win games immediately.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, land, Lotus Petal, Dark Ritual, One Ring. I mean, honestly, One Ring, I kind of want to get it on turn 2, because in seat 1 you do get the protection, but like you're not really going to use the protection turn 1. Like the protection, like, surprisingly matters quite a bit. Like,
it does, but the the number of cards you get, it really has zero effect turn 1.
yeah.
Or it has a little, but not a lot.
Oh yeah, I'm like, if that's the only play that I have, but like let's say I have an Esper Sentinel and then I can get One Ring turn 2, I'm
Yeah, that's
probably
probably
going to
better.
drop the Esper Sentinel, like,
I
just
yeah,
because the Esper Sentinel is going to be more than one card probably turn 1.
yeah, I got you. I do think early game One Ring wins games.
Yeah.
Early game, not Remora so much. Remora can, but it's more of Ristic study. And if you're sitting, let's say you see that in your seat 2 or 3, a counter spell is where you want, because you just blow them out completely.
Yeah. I mean, I will also say, and you kind of pointed this right on the head whenever we were playing, is if you get 4 turns with a One Ring, you should win. Like, when you tap One Ring and it has 4 counters on it and you draw 4 cards, that person's probably going to push a protected win at that point. Like, they have to be pretty unlucky to draw 1 plus 2 is 3 plus 3 is 6. That's 10 cards. Like, to be 10 cards ahead and not be able to push or do something, or just be so far ahead that like it's obvious they're gonna win. When One Ring gets to 4, you're kind of cooked. Like,
You're in a really, and in any turn after that, if the game is slowed down, you're just looking at that person with the One Ring for them to win.
yeah. Unless you play Notion Thief, which I think more people should. Seat 2 or 3 is kind of a mix play style. Like, you look at your hand and you're like, okay, I'm gonna have to react to what seat 1 played. Like, if I can get a turn 1 Sisse and I'm keeping the hand because I can get a turn 1 Sisse, well, what if seat 1 decide to drop Drannith? Like, what if they're Rocco? Like, Rocco's probably gonna try to stop me. So like, maybe I should keep a more resilient hand. Like, a lot of what you're doing in seat 2 or 3 is you want to look at your hand and have a plan, but you know that you're going to get somewhat disrupted, either by like, let's say I have 2 lands and then a bunch of 0 rocks. I have to plan on what I'm going to do if they drop a Mystic Remora. Like, am I going to feed them 3 cards? Probably not. Like, that's not good. So you want to keep your hands pretty greedy in seat 2 or 3, but at the same time you need to keep resiliency. Like, if your opponent is like Ral or Vivi or Rogsai, maybe you kind of try to get a mental misstep, or you try to get a gemstone so that you can at least interact with them and kind of scare them a little bit on their first turn, where you're like, yeah, they might not go as hard because I have a mana up when they're used to like being completely uncontested. There have been times where I've had a gemstone and a silence in hand and Kinnan seat 1, and I'm just like, do I just silence him? It's like, maybe I do. Like, maybe I just let him drop a land and pass. It's a little bit interesting, but like, you definitely have to keep a hand that if you can silence somebody or swan song them with a gemstone, it would probably be better if you just had a tutor that you could see what they were playing and then tutor, get something to counterplay, or just not care. Like, that works too. I think seat 2, you're kind of doing what seat 1 does, but you're trying to be a little bit more responsible. Like you're not just gonna drop 3 or 4. You're not gonna plan to drop 3 or 4 rocks. Like if it happens, great. But seat 1, if they're blue or white, probably are gonna draw if you doing that. And if it's an Esper Sentinel, maybe it's worth it. Maybe it's worth it for you to drop 3 rocks.
Yeah, I think that's you're a good pivot point with how many cards that first player draws, and you can even politic that way into being like, well, look, I'm only going to play 1. I have 3. I don't want them to draw that many cards because they'll run away with it. Or hey, I could drop 2. I'm not going to drop any. Can we agree to not feed the fish?
Yeah.
Or Ristic or whatever.
The moment I see a fish, I look around the table and I'm just like, I have 2 options. I could not feed the fish and I could drop an Esper Sentinel. Or I could feed the fish and drop a bunch of rocks. Like, will you commit to not feed the fish? Seat 4, will you commit to not feed the fish? Or just feed the fish once, And usually the table is pretty cool, just being like, yeah, of course I would rather drop a Soul Ring, but I do have a Delight Halfling that I can drop instead. And it's like, okay, cool. Like, I can meet you there. I'll play an Esper Sentinel, and while I could drop a, Mox Opal, it wouldn't be online anyway. So let's just make him not get anything and decide if he's going to feed it or drop it, and with me, like, I'll commit. I'm feeding I'm keeping the fish up if nobody feeds it, within reason. I mean, if it's like a green deck and it's pretty clear it's a creature based deck, I probably will just be like, yeah, I tried. I was just hoping to get like a card or 2 out of it. I didn't get anything. Like, this sucks, It's like, but now I have an Ancient Tomb and I have a Ristic Study, so woohoo. Yeah.
There is a lot of times too, where a player won't have a follow-up that they're looking, like seat 1 doesn't have a follow-up. They've kind of kept the fish in hopes to draw lands, and that can be devastating for that player.
Yeah.
I would say just listen to how they're talking. A lot of times you can kind of hear it in their voice that they're going to keep the fish around a minute. And then you kind of calculate your plays in how do you win the value train? Do you win it, or is it too far gone for that person? It's a weird scenario 2 and 3 because they're about the same.
Yeah.
Seat 4, it's more streamlined into one mindset, which we'll go over in a second. But
yeah,
2, 3, it really depends on the hand you've kept and the colors you play.
Depending on what seat 1 is commander wise and what seat 1 plays, you might actually just kind of be seat 1 if you're seat 2.
And it's really reading the table a little bit there and the decks that you play against. But I would say the value is still something you should keep in your mind for sure. And then things like Smothering Tithe, the mana part of it look a little better because you may not outweigh the draws, but you can give some pressure to the Ristic Study to, now I'm going to have 7 treasures by the time my turn comes up.
I mean, or even crazier Taro's turn 1 where it's like, okay, you dropped a fish. Cool. I have a gemstone. I'm going to drop a land. I have a Taro. Like, draw.
You draw, I get a treasure.
Yeah. It's like I've kind of balanced things out for the table where, I'm going to keep value because you dropped a wrist or a fish. And then I'm going to have treasures. So, like, no one's too afraid because we kind of cancel each other out. Like, yeah, you'll draw cards, but I'll have mana to stop you too. So, yeah.
Also, in that, with that specific card, I would usually give the next card to the 4th seat.
The 4th seat, or if anybody just went real far down mulliganing.
That's
like
true.
If seat 3 went to like 5, I'm gonna before I cast it, I'm going to talk to seat 3 and be like, hey, I'm going to play a Taru. Will you commit to draw if I play it? And if they go, yeah, like, cool, you get it. And if seat 4 is like, well, I'm in seat 4, it's like, yeah, but you kept 7. You know,
Yeah. It's an interesting scenario as far as the first couple of turns. I mean, and like I said, 2 and 3 are pretty close to the same. Taru is a really good turn 1 if you got it, because Remora doesn't draw. And then if you do give somebody a Rhystic, they only get 1. So it's not terrible.
Esper Sentinel turn 1, Taru turn 2 is like, mwah, chef kiss.
It's great.
Yeah. Seat 4 play style is, for me, and this even kind of includes blue, I'm going to be a cardboard goblin. Like, unless you played something that said I can't do it, I don't care if you draw, I don't care if you make a treasure, like, I do not care. And like, to an extent, like, if Rogsai plays a fish, I might not draw Rogsai 3 cards, but I also might just look at the table and be like, this is you guys' problem, because you might set seat 1 up to blow out, and then seat 2 or 3 has to stop them, and then they're farther behind now, and you're just like, okay, like I'm back in this because everybody blew out. You know, like,
I would. A lot of times people talk about the negatives in seat 4. There are a few positives. One of the big positives is stack priority, because you are the last person. So in that point where, let's say you're holding a handful of counters, you're the last one to see seat 1 try to win.
Yeah.
And you have that option. Also, you can be like, you can weigh heavy. Let's say seat 3 tries to win turn 3, turn 2. You could be like, well, I was seat 4. You know, I'm mulligan to this.
Yeah, I don't care. I have a counter spell. I'm not using it.
I'm gonna pass. Do y'all have anything? Or I'm probably gonna pass. Do y'all have anything? And I would lean into that a little bit.
I'm not a nice person in seat 4.
No, yeah. I'm not either.
It's basically like the office worker that didn't get their coffee in the morning. Like that's kind of my mentality of like, I don't care. I'm going to be very selfish. I need to be selfish in seat 4. I might have counter spells to stop things, but if I sit there and I play sheriff, I'm not going to win anyway. So you guys do it. And like, I'll make that clear. Like, I won't just wait for, you know, seat 1 to Thassa out, and then whenever I get priority, I go, I don't care. Go ahead, man. You know, like, I've seen people do that, but like, when someone's in seat 1, I will just be like, hey guys, I'm just gonna let you know, seat 4, I'm not stopping anything. Like, if you guys didn't keep counter spells, that's too bad. You know, like,
I mean, it's such a power spot in seat 4. Like, let's say you go through your turn 1, turn 2, they seat 1 tries to win. It's such a power spot to have the counters. Let's say all you have is a pact.
Yeah.
You could be like, hey, can we agree to draw here? I'm okay. I mean, the chances of you winning were kind of low.
Yeah.
The draw is high. You still get a point. This person thought they had it. They didn't expect seat 4 to have a counter.
Yeah. Well, the only person that needs to agree to the tie there is seat 1, because if seat 2 or 3 is just like, I don't agree to the tie, it's like, cool, I won't cast my pack.
Yeah, it's over.
So you guys are agreeing to the tie. Seat 1, if I packed you, are you completely out of the game? And sometimes they'll be like, nah, I actually have a backup. Like, I would not agree to a tie. And then you're like, no, dang. You know, well, I'm probably not going to cast it then. You know? Like,
yeah. And the good thing, though, is you know for sure by the time it gets to you that 2 and 3 had nothing.
Yeah. I mean, in that situation, if I'm seat 1, I will just be like, unless they have a stifle and I've already exiled my deck and there's a Thassa out, I'll just be like, no, I wouldn't agree to a tie. If you want to pact it, cool. And then a lot of the times people are just like, okay.
I would lean into 2 or 3 having a win.
Yeah.
Because
at that point, seat 2 would have to be like, I'm gonna win on my turn if you don't take the tie. Like,
Yeah.
And at that point, seat 2, I might not say anything. Like,
Yeah, that's true.
yeah,
It's still a good position to be in, especially since you didn't expect to really have a lot going on seat 4 anyway.
yeah. Seat 4, you're expecting to tie at best, and miracle, you win. Like, if you can win in seat 4, you're pretty well set for the tournament because you have won in the most unlikely situation. So you're probably going to get a second win at some point because you're going to have a better seat. And then at that point, for the most part, you just need to tie if it's 4 rounds. So you could just be like, oh great, like I won in seat 4. Now I'm in seat 2 or 3. I'm probably gonna win.
So let's talk about what's a great hand seat 4. To me, it's couple of mana rocks, maybe a draw engine, and then if you have a counter, perfect. If you don't, okay.
Yeah, seat 4, just cardboard goblin. Like I'm gonna try. My hand either needs to amass so much value that I can catch up, or I look at my hand and go, oh, I can just try to win. And like I've been in situations where I've looked around the table and I've just been like, okay, this person's also Esper. They're not going anywhere. This person is Sisay. They're not going anywhere. They're not going to have counters for me. This person is playing Derevi. They're not going anywhere until turn 3. Like, I can try to win on turn 3. Like, it looks like the Esper player is just trying to lock everything down, and they have locked commanders down, which also turns off a free counter spell. So I'm less worried about that. Yeah, I'm just gonna try a Thassa combo out turn 2, turn 3, and if it goes through, great. If it doesn't go through, I wouldn't have a chance anyway. So like, I will say, if I'm in that situation, I have learned if I have the ability to tutor the second part of Thassa combo, I do not go get a Demont consultation because it can be mental misstepped, and a lot of people are going to keep a mental misstep early. So I'll just go get Tainted Pact, and I'm just like, okay, well, I'm going to probably do this a turn later. I'm going to do it on turn 3, but I mean, I doubt anybody's going to keep a counter except, the other Esper player. And to me, it looks like they're trying to lock things down, and then they wouldn't be trying to lock things down if they had counters. So I'm going to try. I'm just going to try to slip in and ninja this.
Also with your seed order, that's also another thing to where, let's say seat 3, or I'm sorry, let's say turn 3, you have all of Thassa combo. Seat 1 tries to blow out. Seat 2 tries to win and get stopped. The chances of you winning, really high.
Yeah. I mean, I've also been seat 4, and I've went down to like 4 cards, and those 4 cards happen to be Command Tower, Soul Ring, Arcane Signet, Mystic Remora. And I was going against a Crick, so I was like, oh, I know Crick's going to try to win, like, right away. So, yeah, I'm going to drop my entire hand, but I'll have Mystic Remora, so I'll have something, for as depending on how far he goes. He's never playing the 4. And then on top of it, if I do get another turn, I have 5 mana on turn 2. Like, I might win.
Yeah, it's one of those things to where, looking at it from an upside, even though you're sitting in seat 4 isn't necessarily an automatic loss. It could be more of a draw, which is more probable and what you should be going for.
You can also, I've been in a similar situation where I was on Rocco, and no one really expects Rocco to interact, and Atali was seat 1, and I had planes, like a white source, and I had a silence, and I was like, Atali's definitely gonna try to get Atali turn 2. That's what Atali does. And Atali played Treasonous Ogre, and on the Treasonous Ogre cast, no one had anything, and I was just like, yeah, that's cool. Go ahead. And then they played Atali, and then on the Atali cast, I was just like, all right, now that you've gone down to like 18, silence. So like you will get the Atali, we will exile, but
Can't cast
you can't cast any of it. So you just have a Atali and you're at, 18 life. And Atali came out, we all had to exile. I exiled something worthless. And then somebody else exiled their Thassa, and somebody else exiled like a Ristic Study or like the Smothering Tithe or something. And I was just like, I'm back in the game.
I think it's real important to kind of look at those pivotal moments too, because there is times where, the value has now slipped into the fourth seat. And if that ever happens and you feel in that position, then you want to either look for a silenced win, because that's usually your play, or depending on your win cons, you can use something like and the one that comes to mind the most is like Tivit with transmute. Transmute, if you counter it, you have to, otherwise I win.
Yeah.
Or that card that plays before it, that's not necessarily the card you need, but it wins either way. So it's protected but not protected.
Yeah.
It's kind of strange. One of those ones.
And this is going to be kind of a side note, but sequencing is really important in CEDH, especially in Seat 4. So like in the example that I gave, like I specifically would look at my counter and go, okay, the best time for me to play it is when Atali comes out, because Atali with no ETB, well, no playable cards after ETB, is a loss for Atali. So I will let this person play a bunch of spells and then blow themselves out, blow their life total out, get Atali thinking that they're going to continue, so they'll get real greedy, and then I'll silence. And like, it is a little bit risky to cast a spell after a Treasonous Ogre, because like, let's say Atali has a Red Elemental Blast or a Pyroblast or a like a redirect type of spell in red, like a deflecting swat that they could pay life to cast. Cool. You can't Red Elemental Blast to silence. You can't redirect to silence. Like it's one of those things where it's like, I don't care how crazy your hand is, I'm going to play the silence. And like the only thing that red would really have in that situation, like even if they like Veil of Summered, it would be like, okay, cool. I'm not targeting you. I'm targeting all opponents. The craziest thing that they could do is cast a Tybalt's Trickery, and like no one really runs Tybalt's Trickery in Atali because it's like, it's not great. And like, let's say I'm on a Hashaton and they Tybalt's Trickery me on my silence. Oh boy. I could drop a Jingataxis. I mean, even if I drop like an extra land, that's not terrible. Like an extra mana rock. And it also like slows their turn down quite a bit, because I mean, maybe they're going to try to use that to protect their like copy spell on Atali or something like that. And if they have a copy spell that they're going to follow it up with, well, they don't now, because they're locked on the stack. Like Atali is stuck in the stack. He's not in the command zone. He's not on the field. And then their copy spell, they can't cast it anymore because they just have to end their turn. There's not really going to be a instant speed copy spell. And then your opponents and yourself have to exile a card that's just no longer in their deck now. Like that can be pretty disruptive.
There's a lot of those instances where it matters when you play it, especially something like your copies and stuff. So let's say you're doing you're going against a Krakashima, which is miserable on a good day.
Yeah.
But you want them to try. You have them cast their Krark to spend more money or spend more mana. not Krark. You have them
Yeah.
cast their Sakashima.
And then you bolt their Krark.
Bark their, yeah. So now it's like, well, now he's kind of stuck.
Yeah.
It's when to hit your most valuable target. I've also seen people allow certain spells to hit and then destroy it on the second spell, which is better.
Yeah. I've and this is like my pet peeve. I've seen people not pay attention, let a Mystic Remora hit, and then be like, on your end step, I'm gonna cast this Vamp Tutor, and it's like, bro, like why didn't you do that on the stack?
Yeah,
Or like why didn't you do that like when Esper Sentinel's on the stack? Like I will say like sequencing, I could go into that for a while, but sequencing, especially on seat 4, is very important because you want to squeeze the most value out of everything. And a lot of those misplays on sequencing are going to give someone else value, which you already don't want to do because they are higher in value than you because they have an earlier seat. I think we're kind of hitting the end, so maybe we'll do a part 2 on this.
That's what I was thinking, because there's a few other things that we could go over. I know that this one was kind of a big topic because we have had somebody ask about certain questions that we're answering into this, which is really good.
Yeah.
However, knowing when to play and what you're looking for is so important when you're playing. Just because you have a turn 1 Mox Diamond doesn't necessarily mean your hand's great type of thing.
I mean, also too, like another thing about playstyle in seat 4, I might keep a Mockingjay in seat 4 and nothing else because I'm just like, okay, well, I'm 4th, so this Mockingjay is more valuable than it would be in seat 1 because let's say I'm not in green and someone plays a Delayed Halfling. Well, now
you have one
land and mana dorked that I'm not supposed to have, and I'll have an uncounterable commander next turn. Or like somebody played an Esper Sentinel, and not only am I not going to feed the Esper Sentinel,
You're
I'll
gonna take
get
it.
my own.
Yeah,
like we'll both have Esper Sentinels. Like,
or you give them one card, so you land Mana Rock, Esper Sentinel, Mockingjay, and get another Esper Sentinel.
Yeah,
that's more value than seat 1 had.
Yeah,
usually
it's like I'll give them a draw, and then everybody has to pay 2, or they stop me from drawing 2. You know, like that's pretty good position to be in. Like to deny me my draw, you have to pay 2. If you pay 1, I still get a draw, and you're still behind. You know, like.
But I think that how you said it is good. I think that we'll kind of probably make a part 2 here. I think that there's no other sets coming out in between, right? So maybe we could hit them both.
So the next set that comes out is going to be, I believe, November for Avatar, and that's it for the year. So we'll have quite a few open topics. Again, we usually do like a wrap up at the end of the year where I just like to go over everything that happened in the year just to kind of reflect because, like, I mean, we've been playing CEDH for almost 3 years now, and like, I remember when we did it before, I was just like, yeah, Sheoldred came out this year, and it's like, Sheoldred's an old card. It's like, yeah, you know, there's things that existed before Sheoldred, or like stuff like that.
I always think it's cool to look back and be like, this was the card of the year. This hit. This is what changed it.
Yeah.
I think Bowmaster was one of them at one point.
Yeah, but Bowmaster and Delayed Halfling had both come out last year, and I was just like, that's crazy. You know, like, I mean, Drannith was Ikoria. Drannith has only been around for, I want to say, like 2.5 years.
That's
like
crazy.
There was CDH before Drannith locks, you know. Like, but yeah, that is gonna be our part 1 of this podcast. Time allowed, part 2, probably coming up next. And then just a reminder, if you made it all the way to the end of the episode, please check out our link tree. We got a lot of cool stuff there. Also, just if you made it to the end of the episode, please like the episode. Please leave a comment, and we'll see you guys next time.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.